Good morning, everybody. How are you? My name is Ryan Anderson. I am the Associate Dean for Business and Entrepreneurship here at Mohawk College, and welcome to another Center Snackable session. Today, I'm really excited to have Nadia Ishmail with us today. Nadia's got a fantastic story for us to listen to with regards to courage to try something new, courage to walk away from something that may have been very easy and conventional, and I can't wait to hear her story and share it with you today. So without any further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Nadia. Hi, Nadia.
Hi there. How are you today?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. Why don't we start a little bit by talking just about your business and about how you got started?
Sure. So I own a holistic boutique here in Hamilton, Ontario. It is actually a combination of a boutique and wellness center. So we carry items like crystals and sound therapy bowls, natural skincare, incense, meditation supplies, anything that's kind of holistically targeted for wellness overall.
It's an industry that's growing, isn't it?
Very much so, and
Yeah.
very neat.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very much so. Now you have a history that didn't really sort of unconventionally led you to this path. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Absolutely. So I really did start in the corporate world. From the time I was 18, I was working in corporate. But even before that, I was always very creative, and that was always kind of a side thing that I did as a hobby. So went into the traditional corporate office life for most of my life. I built a career around project management. So I was in the corporate world for about 25 years. However, about 10 years ago, started really looking at the holistic health concerns that I had physically, mentally, looking at the toxic environments that I was exposed to, and really started pushing towards learning a little bit more about how to take care of myself first and foremost. And in that journey, started making products even for the family, starting using natural skincare for my niece and nephew, sensitivities for my mom, things like that. In kind of on the side. It was always on the side, experimenting in my free time. And what happened along the way is realizing that there were so many people dealing with very similar issues and not knowing which way to turn. Medication, prescriptions, chemicals, these were always the things that were the go-tos and the easy access that we had. So as my environment got more and more toxic, I was reaching on the other side, looking for more and more natural and holistic ways to work. So slowly started moving into that and introducing products and offerings, services, techniques even that everybody could use on their own for their healing, and realized that this was actually a lot more, giving me a lot more empowerment and a lot more purpose than going to a 9-to-5 job.
It's interesting, I'll make 2 points and I'll ask you our next question, but it's interesting how as a society we've really always gone from treatment over prevention of things. So we'll
Right.
treat the headache and we'll do things. We won't find out the whys and try to prevent them from actually happening. And I'm seeing now so many other businesses that are almost taking that cue to go and say, there is an alternative. And kudos to you for having the bravery to sort of launch out on your own. And the other thing I'm seeing too, especially in today's pandemic way, a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have
Right.
been laid off. And a lot of people actually want change because they've sort of come on the other side of this. And so we're seeing a big birth now in entrepreneurship and people that either want to be their own boss and control their own fate, or they've
Right.
sat at home and gone and said, well, if I can make a go of a passion, why wouldn't I do that? And that's been something that we've really been seeing a lot of. Tell me about your early days. Tell me about those first steps. What was there a day or a time when you thought to yourself, I'm really doing this. I'm really on my own now, and I'm really an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so my transition was maybe a little different than many. I know a lot of people do kind of take a step out of the corporate world and jump right into the entrepreneurship, running a business full time. I did it a little different, where I kind of kept that buffer. I was working full time, and I was transitioning slowly into the business world. So I had started at a flea market, just kind of seeing what things would look like. So those were weekends. Moved into a retail space where I was only open a few nights a week and then on the weekends. So I would literally go to my full-time job. I'd commute an hour, come back home, make products some evenings. Other evenings I was, going to the storefront space, all weekend, spending the time there. So it was a lot of hours. However, it was really interesting because I felt that the energy that I was putting into those extra hours gave me more life than the 9 to 5 hours that I was in the office itself. And from there, even just taking extra time to do classes and doing online learning and meeting with other business owners and understanding their journeys as well and their struggles. So really taking from the leaders from there. But really, it was a bit of a slower process for me until I think it was the final year in my corporate world where it was just, I couldn't find a reason any longer to justify the energy, the toxicity, the mental stress I was dealing with. And I, realized that I had to kind of get over the fear of moving into something that wasn't structured and create that space for myself. So sorry, go ahead.
No, I love that you said create the space and the structure, because that's really where entrepreneurs really flourish, isn't it? Well, and I kind of picked up on that really quick. My eyes perked up because I find when it comes to, entrepreneurs, they need to put structure in their business, but many of them actually leave another job because of too much structure, which is a bit of a paradox, doesn't it? So it's really interesting that you would say that, because I come from the corporate side myself, and sometimes the best things in the world is not to be corporatized in a lot of ways, even though there's also some fantastic benefits to a corporate structure too, right? So, what's been your biggest, go ahead.
Sorry,
please.
so I was going to say that the biggest struggle was moving from the corporate world where I loved the scheduling and things like that. I was comfortable in that, moving to a business that everything was all over the place. So I kind of went from one extreme to the next and had to find that structure back again, and again, create it for this space.
There was a great quote that I was told once and said, that being comfortable is actually recognizing and being okay with not being comfortable. And I think that's really neat, is just to say, you know what, it's okay to be crazy, and it's okay to not have a schedule, but it's also okay to make a schedule too. Yeah. So find that balance there between the right side and the left side, I suppose. So, what hurdles have you had? I know that the last couple of years, you having a retail space has given, any retailer some challenges right now. What have you seen? What have you done to sort of kind of come out on we hope, on the other end of this?
Yes. So biggest struggle for me, I actually left my full-time job on February 28th of 2020. And then the pandemic lockdown started 2 weeks later. So the entire full-time experience has been a lot of challenges. The biggest struggle obviously is having a goal and having an intention. And then 2 weeks later, finding out that everything has changed. So that's, being able to kind of move your target when needed while staying true to your overall vision has been really important. But the struggle has been, or the biggest challenge really has been, to be able to efficiently adjust your process, efficiently being able to move even the look and the feel of the space, transforming this entire space from a retail walk-in location to a shipping company, which is what it did for about 1.5 years. And then transitioning back when we were able to reopen, having the guts to be able to say, okay, this isn't what I planned. This isn't what I envisioned, but this is also what's required to make the long-term goal real. Sometimes we have to veer off a little bit to make sure we're dealing with the current state of the world, which is what we've had to do. And that's honestly, it's been the biggest struggle. However, again, being flexible has really been the most rewarding as well.
I would argue to many that entrepreneurs, no one's been equipped for this. Let's be honest. But I would argue that entrepreneurs have been better at being more nimble and at coping and adjusting than many big businesses have, because they have to do that every single darn day. And they have to do that with every little thing. And so this is a very hard time for small business owners. Let's get that very straight. But I also think that their DNA is more equipped to this in many ways too. And if it wasn't equipped that way, we may be in a worse situation than we are. So I really appreciate what you said there. And I also like what you said about moving targets. We really sometimes get fixated as entrepreneurs going, so I'm going to make that and I'm going to do this. Right. sometimes there are things out of your control, and it's important to not get drilled down, but to move the target to something that you know you can accomplish too. So it's a great hint. I'll kind of close our session because I know you're going to join us with some other sessions too. But what's that one tip that you would give starting entrepreneurs as they get on down the road of their own journey right now?
Biggest thing is to be humble and flexible. Those are the two really big things. Sometimes we allow our egos to get connected to the way something looks or feels, or should look or feel, and sometimes we have to take a step out of that and again look at the big picture. So again, just really being able to make sure that you're willing to be able to move around with, again, that target as we spoke of earlier, and being flexible. Yeah.
I love that. That's my quote of the day so far. Be humble. I usually say be humble and hungry. I like yours better. So be humble and flexible, I think, is a great way to a great message to leave with our participants today. So thank you very much, Nadia. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're going to join us in some other sessions, but I really think that your journey is a fantastic one for some of our students to listen to and learn and know that they can take that chance. And man, to walk away 2 weeks before this whole thing started to happen and still come out on the other end, I mean, that's a win unto itself. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll talk to you really soon. And thanks so much for your time.